from ABC News, speaking to RFK Jr. RFK Jr. tells staff he will investigate childhood vaccine schedule, antidepressant drugs. We have this tweet from Libs of TikTok. Just in, RFK Jr. to investigate chronic disease, ultra-processed food, electromagnetic radiation, childhood vaccine schedule, glyphosate and pesticides, artificial food additives, SSRIs and antidepressants, microplastics, and more. I would just like to stress, YouTube, this is the HHS of the government of the United States saying this right now, and
I just demonetized already, huh?
I guess I have to say, well, the secretary of the HHS must be wrong because we are not allowed to talk to a doctor. How about the guy who runs it?
Last Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order to establish the MAHA Commission.
Wow.
To study what has caused the precipitous decline in American health over the past 2 generations. So we will convene representatives of all viewpoints to study the causes for the drastic rise in chronic disease. Some of the possible factors we will investigate were formerly taboo or insufficiently scrutinized. The childhood vaccine schedule, electromagnetic radiation, glyphosate, other pesticides, ultra-processed foods, artificial food additives, SSRI and other psychiatric drugs, PFAs, PFOAs, microplastics. Nothing is going to be off limits. Whatever belief or suspicion I have expressed in the past, I'm willing to subject them all to the scrutiny of unbiased science. That is going to be our template, unbiased science.
I'd just like to point out how weird it is that RFK Jr. is like, perhaps we should investigate these chemicals and how they affect us. And the entirety of the Democratic Party was like,
Yeah. That's so wild. Well, I think the rest of that video he says in Girl Scout cookies, too.
That's something that will make us all proud of this agency and of our role.
He does say microplastics.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there was like,
they're in our underwear.
Yeah, like RFK Jr. went to the doctor one day like 20 years ago, and he's like, so how's my physical, doc? And he's like, you have plastic in your balls. And he went, what? And that's like started him off on this journey of like, we must stop the health epidemic.
There's that stuff's in everything. Like I've been seeing all these on my stupid Instagram. I see all these things that are like, Lululemon has microplastics in it. It's like, but those are $200. Like, what do you mean they're poisoning
You got high-end plastics.
High-end plastics. Or like there's some companies that make jeans and they will be like, these are made from recycled plastic bottles, so you're helping the environment. It's like, I don't want to wear it.
No.
I don't want to drink
poisoning your legs.
I don't
want to
wear it. I don't want any piece of that.
Yeah. No.
But what's interesting is the Democrats are never going to be on board with RFK because he wants to remove SSRIs. And all of the liberal middle-aged white women are on antidepressants.
Right.
And they're not willing to give
Well,
that
I mean,
up.
let's think about
a little Xanax, a little Chardonnay, that's like the whole afternoon.
a lot of Sex in the City's reruns. No. But to your point about that, that's also how you keep your population dumb.
Right, that and then
subservient.
For the ones who aren't on SSRIs, you have the weed dispensaries everywhere.
They kept them open, right? They kept them open in California. I find it funny. Liquor stores and strip clubs. So, but churches,
that's nuts.
Churches are just beyond the pale.
Churches are where you actually get infected.
Down. Right.
But liquor stores, weed shops, and strip clubs are where...
So crazy.
Oh, it's very clear who they are. But like that childhood vaccine schedule, it made me laugh because just remembering the confirmation hearing, he goes, I agree with it. It's all fine. And I'm just thinking to myself, they just got to play the game. Play the game, get in there, and then let's see what it really looks like.
My son had to have really major surgery at 5.5 months old. And we couldn't do the surgery if we didn't go along with the vaccine schedule. And I had wanted to like do one at a time just to make sure everything was chill. And we couldn't do it. It was like, and it was like, I wanted to keep them away from sugar. And the way that they draw blood in babies is they give them sugar and then draw the blood. And I was like, I don't like any of that. Why are we doing all of this?
So there's a secret. If you go to the... Here's my recommendation to anybody having a kid. Go to Loudoun County, Virginia. You go to the hospital in Loudoun County, Virginia, and they will tell you, they will do whatever you want. This is the wealthiest.
It's really rich, yeah.
It's the highest median income in the country.
Really?
It's where listen, the people in Loudoun County are the people who are getting those fat cat contracts from the government and doing nothing for it. These people know what for, and they know what they want.
Wow.
And the doctors in Loudoun County are going to tell you, here's how look. When you go to the impoverished areas, they tell you that you need to get like the ointment for the babies and like the herpes medication and like
eye drops, all that stuff.
Yeah, they give you a
Eye
bunch
drops? What's this stuff?
yeah, for like herpes or something.
Yeah.
Basically, if you go to a poorer area, the doctor is going to be like, it is required that your baby get all of the drug addicted prostitution, cures because we think you're a filthy, dirty person. You go to the rich area and they'll say, what do you want to do? And you'll say, if you go to one of those wealthy areas and say, we don't trust this, that, or otherwise, they'll say, no problem.
Yeah. Wow.
Have a nice day.
Well, it was only because of the surgery. Otherwise, my doctors were like fine with what I wanted to do, but he had to have this. He had to have cranial surgery.
But to Tim's point, he's right. Like the poorer neighborhoods, because a lot of times they don't even know what to look for, and we've gotten to a society of expert fallacy. Right. Yep. So you have so many of these people, just trust the science. So many of these doctors that come along and they go, okay, let's give the fact that we've advocated parenting as a society has allowed these doctors to literally want to put over 100 shots into an infant is insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't work or some things don't help. I don't even know, but just to porcupine prick my little boy, I'm killing somebody.
I like the idea of stretching out.
Yeah, see what happens.
It's like
because
change the schedule. It doesn't have to be all at once.
Doesn't that because it's like when the first year or something like that, they're getting like 70 or something.
It's like, more than back in the 80s.
Stretch it out. They don't need all of the vaccinations.
You don't need it all at once.
All at once.
I saw a video of this. I want to say he looked like he was maybe 4 or 5. The mom sitting there holding him and rubbing his head while these different nurses are coming in with different needles in his leg, and I'm just like
rough.
It just can't be that bad to exist as a normal human on this planet in the richest country in the world. It can't be to sit there and what looked like to me torture on a child. Yeah. Even if it helps them, to sit there and pump them full of synthetic, unnatural substances over and over and over cannot be good. And this usually comes and it was pushed on us. That's what COVID really got me. It was pushed on us by the side that always pushes nature. That always pushes saving the planet.
No. They're done with that. It is now the right. The hippies have moved to the right.
I know,
The
which is
hippies
crazy.
They realize that the left is not their friend. The earthy crunchies are now right-wing earthy crunchies. There are more earthy crunchies that voted for Donald Trump than there are earthy crunchies that voted for Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, let's go.
Isn't it weird? We brought this up the other day about the World Trade Organization protests. 1999, the hippy-dippy left were being like, no globalization. No. And then we're talking just 15, 16 years later, Donald Trump is like, no globalization. And they're like, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
They're like,
globalization.
Yes, globalization.
Yeah. You're like, wait, what happened? Well, it's different. You don't understand.
Now we're gonna vandalize Starbucks because we want globalization and massacres.
Now all the Democrats are like opening Starbuckses because they're trying to expand global corporate influence.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, Libby, you probably know this. You've experienced this. During the Bush years, all the liberals were screaming, Bush is Hitler, no war.
Right.
Obama gets elected, and they were like, we're done. And then Obama was like, I'm going to blow up kids. And they were like, but we're cool with that because Obama's doing it.
Well, that was the amazing thing.
bomber in
That was
chief.
the amazing thing because, yeah, I was out there. I was like marching against the Iraq War in New York City with the Transit Union in 2003 and all this stuff. We hated George Bush. We went to Argentina for this theater conference and everyone was like, you're terrible. You voted for George Bush. And we were like, we didn't do it. It was all those other crazy people. We live in a democracy. That's what happens. And then, then everyone was just like giving Obama this pass. And I was like, you guys, he wants to have more war in Afghanistan. Why are you chill with that? And they were like, no, he doesn't. He's just saying that. Guys, he doesn't like gay marriage. Don't you like gay marriage? You are New York theater kids. You love gay marriage. And they're like, he's just saying that. And then, of course, more war in Afghanistan.
And then as soon as he gets elected, he goes, I'm going to blow up kids.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I noticed. Like my left-leaning friends, I did a podcast with a buddy of mine that's left-leaning, and it was before Trump was elected the first time, and he was like, oh, well, I'm a Hillary Clinton voter, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm going to vote for Trump. And he was like, why won't you vote? What are the biggest things that make you not want to vote for Hillary Clinton? I was like, well, right now she's talking about a no-fly zone over Syria and the Russians are there now and they have an air base. So that puts us in direct conflict with Russians, like, and she's talking about actually, you know, having combat and stuff against Russia. I think that's totally reckless, and that's the reason why. Like, that's really the biggest thing. That's, to me, Donald Trump's talking about no more wars, no foreign wars. She's talking about escalating existing conflicts, and I don't want to. And all he had to say was, "Oh, I don't think she'll do that." And it's like, well, you don't then if and
You're not paying attention.
yeah, well, it's just like the left seems like they don't listen to what the politicians say about what they're going to do, or they don't pay attention to the things they do. They only listen to like a narrative that's spun about them, not what they actually say.
Well, I think it's connected. I was actually watching. I was watching you guys on Pop Culture Crisis the other day, and you mentioned it, but you didn't say it the way that I'm going to say it right now. It's we've been living since but 65 was such a turning point. We've been living in a like a social liberal country where even if you're right, you look at some people who say they're right now, they're still less right than they were in the late 50s, early 60s, because everywhere from the schools to music to entertainment and to the media. So think about this. I know, like when I ran for office and I did that sketch for Babylon Bee, California's Move to Texas. I was walking in neighborhoods. I knocked on one door. The Armenian lady opened the door, and she recognized me for that. Started laughing, gave me a big hug, and all we did was talk about the sketch. Before I got home, she sent over $500. So to my campaign. So it showed me when you build up enough emotional cachet and storytelling and entertainment, and you're on that side, that's what you're really fighting against. You're not just fighting against, go listen to Obama's words. You're fighting against the whole machine that has the feeling that they're not the bad guys. Yeah. They're not the ones we need to worry about because he was dancing on stage with Ellen, you know? And so that's what we're really up against, not what the individual actually says or doesn't say. Yeah. It's what side was he hanging out with? He can't be bad.
Yeah, I mean, with Obama, he was so smart when it came to his not his policies, but his campaign. The hope and change thing was probably the smartest campaign slogan ever because he didn't have to tell anybody anything about what it meant. Everybody heard that and they turned it into whatever it was that they believed. And all he had to say is hope and change. And people were like, I'm on board with that. And then they had an image in their mind. He didn't have to articulate anything. They did the work for him.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.